Town Show. My name is Christopher Saunders. I'm pleased to have on Will Attianese, who is a outside linebacker or linebacker in general for Granby Memorial or Granby slash Canton, the co-op, who I've had multiple coaches on, Coach Shortell, also to the OC as well for Granby. Will, I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me.
You know, it's awesome to be able to have players from the Granby Canton co-op because obviously the amount of talent, and I think, I mentioned this to Shortell many times as well as the OC as well, Boucher, about how, because of the distance of where the school or the co-op plays their games and it's located, a lot of people kind of have a tendency to forget about there's football beyond just the normal big name programs. So for like
Yeah.
yourself, when you are kind of preparing for games and you're like getting ready for a season like you are heading into your senior year, does that stuff ever cross your mind?
I mean, I just think we just go out there looking to play our best game. I mean, not really thinking about who's watching, but just
Hmm.
trying to go out there and get the job done.
You
That
know,
makes sense.
no, no, it does, 100%. Last year you guys did get the job done. And I mentioned this to Coach
Yeah.
Boucher. You gave Joe Barlow their best game in terms of the playoffs are concerned. Because
Yeah.
remember, their next two games, mind you, they played Pequot teams, they blew them out. They didn't blow you guys,
Yeah.
right? And just kind of talk to me about that.
Well, I think that had a lot to do with our coach Shortell. He put together a great defensive game plan for that.
Mhm.
I mean, we had about a week and a half to practice and study for it. So I think it was just a lot of repetition, a lot of work we put in defensively to be able to shut that out. And then they ran it great, though. I mean, that was the best I've ever seen that ran.
What made that Joe Barlow team? And for people who may not know, they ran the triple option. They had multiple basically monsters. One of them going to UConn
Yeah.
to play at the next level. What made them so difficult because of the way they ran the triple option? From somebody who went against it, what made it so hard?
Yeah. I think just going against them, you could tell everyone knew exactly what they had to do and they executed at a high level. And
Hmm.
if you have everyone doing their job correct, it's a hard thing to stop. So,
Looking at the season kind of just from the regular season standpoint, the only two losses that you had was a 21-14 loss to SMSA, and then you lost 14-7 to Cromwell Portland. Not blowouts by any
yeah.
means, basically one score games. That first loss, was that kind of like a not a shock, but like okay, like a wake up call? We're like, okay, now we really have to kind of put things into perspective here because if we lose another game and it's two in the first two, we're behind the eight ball,
Yeah.
regardless of what class, S or double L. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think it definitely was. I mean, I don't think anyone on our team really went into that game thinking we were going to lose. So I think it was a little bit of a shock to all of us. I mean, I think we all were a little cocky. We kind of thought we were just going to take it, but so I think it was a big wake up call, and we knew we had to respond next game. So
Yeah, and you guys were able to respond in a multitude of ways. Obviously, you had some win streaks in between that. Was there a game that
yeah,
you in particular, Will, that you felt like was your best game last year?
as a team, I'd say Rockville. I mean, that way, I mean, it was a very close game in the first half, and I think we kind of just wore them out in the second half, and we were able to take it away. I think that was a big momentum grab for us too in the middle of the season, so that was a good one.
Now, what is it about Rockville? Because I almost feel like, and again, I do the NVL games, so the rivalries,
Yeah,
I know every single one. But Granby Canton Rockville, that seems to me like a rivalry, is it not?
I mean, you could say it is almost in a way. I mean, I feel like it's always a highly competitive game. Both teams really want to take it, so
Yeah,
could say there's a little bit of a rivalry there.
it seems like there's a lot of a lot of good battling going on. And it seems like it's
Yeah,
like that, almost in the Pequot in general, right? I know the Stafford Co-op is a very competitive team. Obviously, Valley,
yeah,
Regional Lime, we know about Cromwell, Portland. It seems like these games
yeah.
are like dogfights every single week. What says you?
I'd say so. Yeah, I mean, there's not really any team in the Pequot you can really take lightly. I mean, every team's got they've got their guys. They have the people that can break out, and if you don't do a good job controlling it, you could be in trouble. So
Mhm.
I think there's not really a team in the Pequot you can really take lightly. Everyone's got their guys, they got their dudes, and I mean, they all put together a scheme surrounded by their team. So if you don't do a good job controlling it week to week, they
Uh-huh.
can definitely break out, and you could be in some trouble.
For you specifically, Will, as you kind of reflect on the season a little bit last year, what were things that you took away that you felt like going into now your senior year that you had to make sure that those mistakes were corrected, or just maybe try to strengthen your strengths, if that makes sense?
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, as a linebacker, I need to do a better job at a quicker reaction to the ball. I mean, we have a new linebacker coach this year, Coach Fort. He's been doing a great job working with me on that. So I've been just trying to build up on the whole off season, just quicker reaction, better pass coverage, stuff like that.
Are there any Are there any linebackers or maybe just defensive players? Because I don't know how much college football or NFL football you watch, but is there any player or players that you watch, maybe not so much mimic their game, but just try to pick up a couple things and add that to your toolbox?
Yeah, I mean, I'd probably say the linebacker I watched the most probably was my older brother who played at San Diego. I'd probably say I watched him the most, trying to pick up what he did. But I'd say Luke Kuechly was a dog too. He watched his game on when he was in the league.
Mhm.
People like
Yeah,
that.
no, I agree. I think Luke Kuechly, for the amount of concussions that he had, and that kind of is what kind of halted his career at the end.
Yeah,
He was a monster for a multitude of reasons, right? Came out of Boston College and did his thing with Carolina. And speaking of the linebacker position, as we've seen with defenses, I'm sure you've seen it too, it has really evolved in a lot of ways, right? Micah Parsons, who,
yeah, it has.
yeah, like Micah Parsons was a linebacker at Penn State. Now he's basically a three technique, go after the football, go after the quarterback, right? Go home.
Yeah,
For you, knowing that you have aspirations to play at the next level, do you take into account that, going back to the toolbox question, because now there's more involved with linebackers, you got to be able to be faster. You got to be able to have that strength as well because of how the game with the speed and so on, because it's an offensive style kind of game now. Do you take that into account?
yeah. I mean, yeah, I'd take that into account. I'm trying to work on expanding my skill set. So, I mean, I'm taking it into account. I'm trying to work on it, just become a better all around player. So, it's whatever I could do to build up myself.
So if Coach Shortell is saying, "Well, I need you to go cover that slot wide receiver for Cromwell Portland," and he runs a 4-3, you covering that guy?
Of course, I'm going to cover him.
Now, what's the result going to be? Are you going to be able to pass deflect the pass? What says you?
I'm hoping for six the other way, but
See that? You know what? That's a defensive player's answer right there. Go for the pick and run it back for
yeah,
six. Because you don't want to have to burn your time and try and have to cover them and do all that. You just want to get that quick interception, right?
yeah,
Smart move. And you know what? I should have thought of that being a defensive player. Smart move on your part. Now, as we look at how the season's going to potentially be, right? I mean, we're less than, I think September 7th is the first games for almost everybody, if not everybody. And I've asked
yeah.
this to players I've had on in the past during the off season. Are you chomping at the bit? Are you getting tired of the off season as far as like the workouts? You're just like, I just want to put pads on. I want to start hitting people.
Yeah, I'd say I'm pretty ready just to get out there and start hitting, but we still got a lot to do before then. So
Talk about that a little bit. What does Granby have to do? Can you hear me?
yeah, yeah, like
Yeah.
off season wise, like condition again ready.
Correct. What
I
does
mean, I
Granby
think Coach Shortell, yeah, I mean, Coach Shortell does a great job at conditioning us, getting us ready for the season. I mean, we're gonna have a younger group of guys this year. I mean, he's gonna make sure everyone knows exactly what their role is, knows what they have to do. He's gonna make sure we're in shape to get the job done. So I think he'll do a great job of getting us ready to go out on the field that first game.
Do you feel like, Will, in some ways too, that in order to avoid what happened last year with SMSA, um, to try to make sure that everybody is focused but not getting too high, regardless of the confidence
Yeah,
that you guys have going into that game? Does that make sense?
yeah, that makes sense. I mean, there's obviously a difference between confidence and cocky. You got to have the confidence, but not. You got to remember that you still got to go out there and get the job done. And that's the mindset we got to go out there with this first game this year.
No, I agree with you. And I think a lot of people kind of misconstrued, right? A player can be
Yeah,
confident, but then another confident player, in terms of people viewing, could be in their interpretation of being cocky, right? It's kind of one of those fine lines,
yeah,
kind of thing, you know? Will, I really appreciate you coming on. It's a lot
yeah,
of fun being able to talk with you. Before I let you go, with it being your senior year and this being kind of the last, you know, first, right? This is my first
yeah,
practice or off season of my senior year. It's also going to be my last. Um, has it kind of hit
yeah.
you that your time is coming to an end with the Granby Canton Co-op football team?
I mean, I don't think it's hit me yet. I'm not sure if it really will hit me till the last time it really happens, but I'm looking forward to going out with a good year here.
Mhm. No, I think it's
I
one of
think we
those.
have the team to get it done. So
Oh yeah, I think Granby can is one of those teams I think people have to watch for, and I think what you
yeah,
guys have done in the 7v7, games that you've had with various teams has shown the capability that you guys have. Real quick,
yeah,
I know that we talked about your brother before we started the interview, and I know you mentioned him as well. Obviously, he's been through what you have right now, right? Have you kind of
yeah.
talked to him about kind of like, hey, senior year and yada yada yada? Have you kind of picked his brain with that, either in the football field or outside the football field?
I mean, yeah, we've talked a little bit about it, just like what was going. Like I've asked him before, like just questions about football, like about his game,
Mhm.
and he really said just take it all in. I mean, last year, just
He's just saying
yeah,
just like enjoy it, right? He's just saying, hey, just ball out, don't even
yeah,
worry about it, go do your thing, right?
yeah, yeah.
Nice, man. Nice. Hey, Will, I appreciate you coming on. A lot of fun being able to talk with you. Best of luck this season. And I'm sure a lot
Thank
of
you.
people will be checking out Granby Canton this season for a multitude of reasons. So best of luck.
Yeah, thank you.
No problem. I'll wrap things up here in the CT Sports Talent Show. So until next time, stay safe. Remember, CT stands for Connecticut Talent. I'm enjoying finding them all. Enjoy the rest of your day, everybody, and be well.